this was really an exceptional ending. And I really enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I would even go as far as saying, I don't see episode 8 as being in the canon timeline. I see 7 and 9. And it was a beautiful ending to the sequel trilogy. And, so far as doing the entire saga, sure, it wrapped it nicely in the end. And it left me with a good feeling. I'm happy. I really loved it. And I shouldn't be made to feel like I can't say that I loved it.
I have just watched The Rise of Skywalker for the first time, and by the end of it, I was completely exhausted. It is not a movie I would ever want to watch again, and if you haven't seen it yet, consider yourself lucky. And I'm here to talk about the entire film, starting with the title crawl. The dead speak. The galaxy has heard a broadcast from Palpatine. Would have loved to have seen that in the film, but it's exclusive to Fortnite.
At last the work of generations is complete. The great error is corrected. The day of victory is at hand. The day of revenge. The day of the Sith.
Having something so relevant to your story be excluded and relegated to Fortnite is about as dumb as Kamala Harris using Fortnite to campaign for president. And General Leia has dispatched secret agents to gather intelligence, while Rey, who is referred to as the last hope of the Jedi, trains for battle against the diabolical First Order, as if we care. And the Supreme Leader Kylo Ren rages in search of the Phantom Emperor, determined to destroy any threat to his power. The title Supreme Leader Kylo Ren is cringe. I thought Kylo was the specific title that he had, the Kylo, and Ren was the name. Like the Knights of Ren, they're not the Knights of Kylo Ren. Whatever, I don't actually care. But the movie opens up with Kylo on Mustafar. We're not actually told that's where he is, but that is where he is. And that's where he finds the Sith Wayfinder. And it is never explained how he found this in the film, or if he knew it would lead him to Exegol where the Emperor was. That's not explained. And I don't really understand this red rift that's in space that blocks people from getting to the planet. Like, how does that even work as a way to block people from entering Exegol without the use of a Wayfinder? Like, what? Is that how space works? Because I don't think it is, and I think this is pretty dumb.
I really loved it.
And there's this giant temple obelisk thing on Exegol that's never explained. I guess that's where all the Sith cultists and people who man those Star Destroyers live, I guess. But how does Kylo Ren even know where he's going or what he's gonna find? It's never explained. But this is where we find out that Snoke was made by Palpatine, which is something I knew. But there's this line of like, oh, I've been every voice inside your head, and it cycles through his voice and Snoke's and Vader's. I can't remember in the previous films, but does Kylo ever talk about hearing Vader's voice? He might have, I just don't know. I don't remember. But when was Snoke even created? When was this Palpatine clone created? How is he alive? Is it Palpatine? I assume it's his essence inside a clone, based on the end of this film, and not just a clone that has Palpatine's memories. But he says, oh, the First Order was only the beginning. Huh? What even is the First Order? Is Thrawn gonna set up the First Order? Like, his remnants that are galvanized under him are gonna be the First Order? Is he the one who's gonna name it? And if that's the case, where the fuck does the Final Order come from? We'll get to that, but holy shit, none of this makes sense. But here we get a look at all of these Star Destroyers that have Death Star laser cannons. And this is the Final Order, a new empire. Like, this is so cringe, dude. And by the way, according to Google, Star Destroyers need, at the very least, 5,000 people to operate. And if we're being generous and saying these Star Destroyers only have the minimum required amount of people, that's still a lot of fucking people. Did they all come from this planet? If they did, they shouldn't look normal and like they've had a normal upbringing, because they haven't. They've lived on a fucking hellscape. They should look borderline undead with pale skin, but they all look normal. All the people in the Final Order just look like regular people. And this is where Palpatine tells Kylo to kill Rey. But then we find out later that that wasn't the plan. He actually wanted Rey alive. But like, what if Kylo just fucking killed her? Can he read Kylo Ren's future? If that's the case, couldn't he see him bringing Rey back to life after she fucking dies? Who cares? None of this makes sense. This is dumb.
I really loved it.
Then we get this setup of, oh, there's a spy in the First Order, who could that be? And then we get some light speed skipping, which is bad, but I don't care enough to really talk about it that much. But a lot of the space traversal in this movie does not really make sense. I mean, it makes sense. They start at one point and get to the other, but that's all the thought that went into it. And we finally get to see Rey training. That's what we all wanted to see, right? Not really. Seeing her training in the final film in the trilogy doesn't really alleviate the problem of her not training in the previous films. And apparently she's being trained by Leia, who had training from Luke, I guess. But the way the flashback later on in the film is written, it's kind of vague if she had completed her training and then just didn't be an operating Jedi, or she never actually completed her training. Like Luke says, oh, it was the end of her Jedi training. Like, was it the end because she gave up, or was it the end because it was the end of her training? Leia in the EU is great, and Leia in Disney canon is shit. The way she's written is terrible. It's as bad as the rest of Disney. And then Rey goes and runs this training course, which is so lame. Like, I'm sure they thought this was really exciting, but it just wasn't impressive at all. And Poe Dameron shows up with Finn after they get back from escaping the First Order, and he's crying about how Rey should have been with them, saying that she's the best fighter in the Resistance and they needed her. Like, huh? What does he mean when he says she's the best fighter in the Resistance? In what capacity? At literally every form of combat? She's got the Force, but isn't he supposed to be the best pilot in the Resistance? Is she also now the best pilot they've got? She's usurped the title from him. This script is actually terrible.
I really loved it.
And then we get the scene of, oh, somehow Palpatine returned. And here we see one of Rose Tico's very few lines. And if we're just taking into account the screen time she has, even when she's not speaking, it's maybe a couple minutes. It's far less than the screen time she had in The Last Jedi, which I just think is hilarious. Disney are apparently all about protecting the people of color who work for them, but they're also willing to just completely erase them from their projects. And we get one of the goofiest lines. Dark science, cloning, secrets only the Sith knew. Like, okay, dude. Dark science? What the fuck are you even talking about? Like, what the fuck are you saying right now, dude? Dark science. Dark science. Secrets only the Sith knew. Like, huh? What the fuck is this script? It sucks. And Leia in this movie just looks so weird because she's obviously edited into certain shots where she doesn't belong because Carrie Fisher had passed away. So Palpatine has been building this massive fleet for years, but they don't really specify how long it actually took them. And they never mention when Palpatine was actually resurrected into this clone form. But based on some stuff later on in the film, my guess is he's been around at least for like 15 years. Probably longer than that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him get resurrected in whatever rip-off Heir to the Empire film Dave Filoni's gonna make. And Rian Johnson had Kylo smash his helmet, and then J.J. Abrams was like, hey, fuck you. And he has him reforge the helmet. This is so goofy. And he's just hanging around with the Knights of Ren. Like, who even are these guys? Who are they? That is literally never explained. And it becomes even more confusing who they even are later on in the film. Because apparently Kylo Ren is the leader of the Knights of Ren, but I guess not really, even though that's what he's called in previous films. And what's annoying about a lot of this film is there's stuff that could work if the script wasn't shit. And there's a lot of stuff that look cool, like the Knights of Ren with Kylo and his reforged mask. It looks pretty sick, but I'm not really attached to these characters or invested in the story because it's just been handled so terribly.
I really loved it.
And Kylo Ren, he might be mentally ill, especially with the fact that he sees his dead father later on and has a conversation with him. He's probably schizophrenic, but I don't know what's wrong with him because in this scene, he's retarded. He chokes the shit out of this guy for rightfully asking questions about Palpatine. Sure, it's revealed that Kylo wants to team up with Rey and kill Palpatine and like take over the final order or whatever. But do we need to see him choking out a dude for asking valid questions? Like, don't even have that guy ask those questions. Don't even have that fucking scene in there. This is so dumb. And the stupidity of this script is like endless. It just keeps going. It's kind of insane. There's a festival on this desert planet that's apparently forbidden. It's a forbidden desert planet. That's exactly what Rey calls it, a forbidden desert. But once every 42 years there's this big festival and they just happen to be there. This is so stupid. But we also get this line of, there's always random First Order patrols in crowds like these. Huh? Is this random forbidden desert in First Order space? Where is it? And J.J. Abrams and the people at Lucasfilm don't think about this kind of stuff, but it's important, okay? It's important. In order for your audience to be immersed in the story, it needs to operate within some sort of internal logic. And it gets even more cringe with Rey being asked what her name is, and she's got no last name, just Rey. And I'm thinking like, this is a perfect setup for her to be Rey Solo. That is literally how Han Solo got his name in Disney canon. Oh, he had no last name, so he's Han Solo. Rey and Kylo talk to each other through the Force, and he's able to teleport a necklace to him somehow. Like, maybe it's because they're the dyad or whatever, but who knows, who cares? This is stupid.
I really loved it.
And I suppose they did some sort of scan on the necklace to find where it came from somehow. And then Kylo's like, alert the local forces that we have stationed there. But like, wouldn't it have just been much easier and less contrived if those local forces just spotted her? We've already set up that they might have forces there on the planet. We don't need all this magic bullshit with a necklace. And Lando is there, and I'm sure all the Disney shills saw him and were like crying their fucking eyes out in the cinema, but I don't even care. At this point, the movie's just getting going and I'm already checked out. Bored out of my fucking mind. But Kylo Ren's Star Destroyer shows up there from wherever he was in no time at all. Remember when I said internal logic actually matters? Light speed is supposed to take time, it's not instant. And there is a ticking clock. This is a ticking clock film. They have 16 hours to find Exegol and to defeat the Final Order. And it feels like it took them way longer than that to even get to these places. And in order for it to make sense, they have to change light speed and make it something that happens instantly. You instantly get somewhere. And for some reason, these bikes that the First Order are using have treads. Why aren't they hovering? And they aren't local to the planet. They are the First Order manufactured because they're designed to launch people with jetpacks into the sky. This is so goofy.
I really loved it.
And that's where we get the line, oh, they fly now? They fly now. It's kind of funny just because the Disney shills love that line. They love it. They think it's hilarious. But after their chase, they get blown the fuck up and then they land on like quicksand or whatever. Convenient. And when they sink through to this underground cave system, there's a dick joke, and I also noticed that Poe kind of looks like Indiana Jones. He's kind of dressed like him. And while they're in the cave, they come across Ochi's bones, which I thought was fucking hilarious. I don't know why that was so funny to me. And this is where Rey finds that dumb fucking dagger. And we get all this bullshit about C-3PO not being able to read CS languages because his programming forbids it or whatever. This is bad writing. It is contrived. They're doing this to extend the plot because of the plot points that they wrote. This is stupid.
I really loved it.
Enough. That's all I gotta say on this. Please. Enough. Leave theory alone.
Like, I guess they couldn't figure out a way for them to find out where Exegol was without the dagger and without going to the Death Star. There's this goofy shot of the Knights of Ren just posing on a rock looking cool, and like that's all they do in this movie. And Ren and Kylo have this standoff in the desert where she blows his ship up and he fucking dies, but he survives. And Rey using the Force to hold that ship back, like who even gives a fuck at this point? Rey using lightning to fucking murder Chewbacca is hilarious. And for some reason, Kylo Ren is just standing there the whole time, like he doesn't do anything. He uses the Force to stop the ship from leaving, but he does nothing after that. He just stands there and watches Rey run to that ship and get away with her friends. And I guess they were being tailed by the Knights of Ren, whatever, who cares? And then we find out that Poe was like a fucking drug smuggler, the Mexican guy. Okay, subtle Disney. And on Kijimi we meet Zori, who's originally gonna kill Poe and hand Rey over to the First Order, and then she just helps them for no reason. And then we get to see the Knights of Ren again. They look cool and they do nothing else. And we meet Babu Frick, who I just want to throw into a blender. We need to get rid of this rat. We can chuck Grogu and Neil into that blender as well. And they have to get rid of 3PO's memory, and all of them act like they care. No one fucking cares. I don't fucking care. And he has this line of like, oh, well, if I don't do it, if I don't sacrifice myself, all is lost. Like, Anthony Daniels, fuck off. You just know he loved that. He thought he was the fucking main character. I forgot. This fucking red-eyed C-3PO, or evil 3PO. Kylo Ren shows up here with his Star Destroyer really quickly, no time at all it takes them to get around. But we were introduced to this fucking MacGuffin thing, this medallion that lets Zori get past blockades. And it's her only way off Kijimi, and she just gives it to Poe for no reason. Like, none of this is explained. Just like it's not explained how she goes from wanting to sell Rey out to the First Order to just helping her. Like, none of that is set up, none of that makes sense. This is dumb. But they need the MacGuffin to get onto Rey's Star Destroyer because Chewie's alive, unfortunately. And as they go through this Star Destroyer, it's just so much that I just, oh my god, I just couldn't fucking barely get through this film. Not only does Rey easily mind control people, which I think is just kind of disturbing. It comes so easily to her because she's like a Palpatine or whatever, but like the fact that she's willing to do it so much, I don't like it. I think it makes her look bad. In real Star Wars, in the expanded universe, when we see Luke use the Force to manipulate people's emotions in their minds, he doesn't like it because he's imposing his will onto them through the Force. That sounds like something a Sith would do. And he does reflect on Ben Kenobi doing that, and he just thinks it's weird for a Jedi to do those things. And I agree. But it's the mind control from Rey, on top of the fact that Finn does not seem to have a problem with killing First Order troopers. Shouldn't he understand their plight, like they were conditioned from a young age to be troopers in the First Order? That's not explored because this movie is dumb, and the people who wrote it didn't put much thought into it. Kylo and Rey have this weird duel through the Force, I guess. They're the dyad. Maybe that's why it happened. I mean, that's obviously the reason, but it's never explained. And if you're there just watching Kylo Ren and he starts dueling Rey through the Force, what does that look like from someone else's perspective? That's one of the many other things that the writers probably didn't even think about once. And we get this flashback of Rey's parents getting fucking murdered. And before we see Dathan Palpatine die, Rey's mother tells Ochi, whatever his fucking name is, she isn't on Jakku, she's gone. That's the line, but why would he fucking believe that? Like, wouldn't they send a bunch of other people to search the planet anyway? Who cares? And there's a bunch of other stuff that happens on this Star Destroyer, so let's get through it already. Hux is the spy for absolutely no reason, basically out of spite, because fuck Kylo Ren. And this is where we get Rey Palpatine. And Kylo tells Rey that they're the dyad, because he knew that, I guess. A dyad in the Force. Two that are one. That's the line. How are they two that are one? Why are they the dyad? They're not even related. Maybe if they had some relation, it would make sense. Like, the only other dyad we've seen, I guess, is Osha and May, and they're literally like one person split into two. But it's never explained, so who fucking cares? This shit is stupid. Hux fucking dies, who cares? And then they get to the Death Star wreckage. And just keep in mind, when the scene happens of them discussing Palpatine returning, they had 16 hours before the Final Order launched their attack. And they've gotten to like 3 different planets at this point, all in less time than it would take anyone in the EU to get anywhere. I swear to Christ, I forgot this was even a thing. I couldn't believe my eyes when Rey used that fucking dagger to line up with the wreckage of the Death Star. Like, how does that even work? Why is there even a Death Star wreckage? What was the reason outside of nostalgia bait? It was all pointless anyway. She didn't even need to be here. She ends up stealing Kylo's ship and uses the Wayfinder that's in there. So you didn't need to have all of this shit with the dagger in the fucking desert planet and the Death Star wreckage. This is all pointless. She could have just gotten it some other way. Just filling time. This is a waste of time. This script is stupid.
I really loved it. And I shouldn't be made to feel like I can't say that I loved it. You know?
And this is only like halfway through the fucking movie at this point. And they get some help from these randoms on this planet who are, I guess, First Order deserters. And according to Babu Frick, Rey is the last hope, like fuck off and fuck Babu Frick right into a fucking blender. And what a coincidence that Finn runs into a bunch of First Order troopers and he acts like he cares, like he just didn't gun down a bunch of other people who are just like him. And there's this cringe fucking interaction between him and Poe, where Poe's like, I'm not Leia. And Finn is like, that's for damn sure. And then Poe's all like sad, like who cares? Who fucking cares, dude? This is gay. Disney Star Wars is gay. It's fake and gay.
I would argue, do you guys care if I'm gay?
And at this point, it's halfway through the film. Let's say they have like 8 hours left before the Final Order launch their attack. Rey's able to get to the Death Star wreckage and climb through it to the Emperor's throne room. How long does that take her? Did the people writing this even think about this? I doubt it. Rey sees a dark side version of her and it's lame and gay.
I'm gay.
And Kylo is there somehow. How fucking did he get there? I don't know. Finn is also able to get to the Death Star wreckage in no time at all. How long does it take anyone to get anywhere in this film? And it leads to a lightsaber duel between Kylo and Rey, but it's so fucking weird. Like, how did they get there? It's like kind of contrived. I've said that before. This is contrived. A lot of stuff in this movie is fucking contrived.
I really loved it.
When the fight ends, Leia has reached out to Ben Solo through the Force. That's what I assume has happened, which leads to him hesitating and not killing Rey, which leads to Rey stabbing Kylo Ren, which then looks like it leads to Leia's death. So Leia almost caused Ben to die, and then Rey almost killing Ben kills Leia. That's how it looks. They somehow manage to get back to the Resistance base in no time at all, and Ben hallucinates his father. Like, he is schizophrenic. He's gotta be. Like, what the fuck is this? And this is where he becomes a good guy again, and it does not work. Imagine Hitler leaving the Nazi party, going to help the Allies defeat Mega Hitler. Like, that's basically what's going on in this fucking film. And on the Resistance base, Poe is talking to Lando, saying, oh, you guys defeated the Empire with almost nothing. I don't know, man. I don't think the Rebel Alliance was nothing. It was a pretty big operation. Now, don't blow my fucking brains out, but there is a scene, there is a little interaction between Poe and Finn, and I liked it.
I gotta talk to you about something. I can't do this alone. I need you in command with me.
Well, this droid has it. Thank you. I appreciate that. General.
Okay? I thought it was kind of cute.
They're like, oh, it's chill.
But seriously, it was like the only time in the movie where I was like, oh, that was kind of nice. Only time I felt something that wasn't despair and boredom. Oh, and the droid, the fucking droid they found on that ship. Its name is fucking Dio.
Tell me, have you and Jojo kissed yet? I'll take that as a no. You thought your first kiss would be Jojo, but it was I, Dio!
And again, they only had 16 hours before the Final Order attacked, and Rey went from the Resistance base to the desert planet, and then from that planet to Kijimi, and from there, they went to the Star Destroyer, and then to the Death Star wreckage, and she then went to Octu. And everything they did from the start of this film to now has been less than 16 hours. Fucking dumb. And I completely forgot that Luke shows up as a ghost. And I absolutely hate the way Disney use Force ghosts. They just do it terribly. It is all nostalgia bait. Something else that's not explained is how Luke and Leia knew Rey was a Palpatine. Fuck it. Fuck it. Who cares? On the Death Star, Ren crushes the Wayfinder, maybe with the Force, but he seems to crush it pretty easily. But after Rey burns Kylo's ship, she's still able to use his Wayfinder that was burning. Didn't his ship also blow the fuck up earlier on in the movie? Was that not his main ship? Why was he using a different one than the rest of the film? And Luke, oh, it's like Yoda when he lifts the X-Wing out of the water. Cringe.
I really loved it.
And in this moment, I thought the music was like really overbearing, and that happens throughout the film a couple of times for me. I just thought like they're using the music to manipulate you into thinking this is good Star Wars. It isn't. It's shit. And then Pip from Game of Thrones shows up for a split fucking second, but I recognized him immediately. And we get this line of, oh, we gotta pull some holder maneuvers. You mean commit fucking suicide? But apparently it was a 1 in a million chance, but it happens later on in the film actually. I noticed it exactly when I saw it. So, in the span of 3 movies, 2 movies back to back, both of them have something that is a 1 in a million chance of happening. It was a blink and you miss it moment, but I fucking don't blink. Oh, and apparently Lando and Chewie were going to the core systems for help. So the core of the galaxy, that's the core systems, right? What the fuck were they doing this whole time? Fuckloads of people show up at the end, so clearly there are plenty of people who wanted to help. What happened? Like, what? This just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense.
I really loved it.
But the Final Order launched their attack and send a ship from Exegol to Kijimi to destroy it. How did it get there? How did it leave the planet? How did it get through the red vortex without a wayfinder? Or do they not need the wayfinder to get out of there? Then how do you need one to get there? None of this makes sense because this script is fucking dumb. And when the Resistance go to attack Exegol, Poe has this big speech, but I'm not invested in these characters or the story, and I have no fucking clue how any of this shit is happening. Because the people who wrote these films are complete fucking hacks and did an absolute terrible job.
And I shouldn't be made to feel like I can't say that I loved it.
But we're almost at the end, let's just speed through this shit. Rey gets to Exegol, she finds her way to the throne, and it's a massive fucking arena with all these people. Like, what is happening? Palpatine wants Rey to kill him so he can possess her. Okay. And he says, let the ritual begin or some shit. So there's like a ritual to do it? I don't know. And the Knights of Ren seem to be on Palpatine's side. So are they the Knights of Ren? Are they just, who the fuck is Ren? Is Kylo Ren not the Ren that they're the Knights of? I don't fucking care. All of this shit in the final act, this final fight, this battle, be a lot cooler if it made any fucking sense at all. And the die out of the Force can heal Palpatine, I guess. He really fucking locked out with this shit. Everything that happens after this point is just so silly. Palpatine is sucking off Rey and Ben. Poe just fucking gives up. And I was really bored as fuck watching this. I was so tired, but this really picked my spirit up. There are more of us. Yeah, hundreds of ships got from the core to the unknown regions pretty quickly. Like, it would be a lot more meaningful and impactful if it made any sense. And there's this line, it's just people. Fuck off. Like, this is so silly.
I really loved it.
And the Final Order was super easy to defeat. They just shot the cannons and the whole ships blow up. Like, okay, whatever. I don't care. Who cares? And Ben gets thrown down a fucking crevice and dies, but he survives. Oh, and this just blew my mind. This massive beam of lightning Palpatine shoots up into the sky. This is absurd. And Rey, before she defeats Palpatine, says, I'm all the Jedi, and it's cringe. And Palpatine is defeated by his own lightning like a fucking chump. And Rey kills him, but I guess he can't possess her anymore, even though that was the plan. Who knows, maybe they really did need to do some sort of ritual thing. This is stupid. And after this, I guess Rey dies, but she survives. So Ben resurrects Rey and then fucking dies. Disney would have had a much easier time making more movies if Ben had lived and Rey stayed dead. You could have a whole trilogy about Kylo redeeming himself as a Jedi and maybe continuing the Jedi or something. Could have done something, but nah, you lost all your chances of that. And there's this line from Finn saying people are rising up all over the galaxy. So did the First Order control systems all over the galaxy? Because I never got that feeling. But whatever, there's a lesbian kiss, Chewie gets his dumb medal, because whatever, nostalgia bait. And this random black woman I think is supposed to be Lando's daughter. Or Finn's sister, like I don't fucking know, I had heard those. One of those is true, I think. Either way, it is contrived. And the ending to the Skywalker saga would have been way more meaningful if the story had made any sense at all. And to end this shit, we get Rey Skywalker and her fucking piss saber. Like, ugh. I'm so fucking tired. I finally did it, guys. I watched Rise of Skywalker. Just like watching the film, making this video has drained the fucking life out of me. But that being said, guys, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Not bad. Not bad at all. What would you guys rate the movie? Let me know below. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later.